All right. Hey, guys, I hope you're doing great. Coach Michael Burt, the super coach in the house. Looks like we got D. Richard Hodges, Dick, and Nicholas. Hope everybody's doing great today. Today we're recording a live webinar. I've just finished with Monster Producer, so I apologize for running a few minutes behind. We had 64 people in Monster Producer today, and we had the orientation, so we had to feed them. And we really onboarded them correctly, so thank you for being patient with me for just a few minutes so we can get you started on here. Now, what I'm doing is I'm breaking down Chapter 4 of the new book, Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. And this chapter is a very, very good chapter because I believe we live in a world of commoditization, saturation. And what that means is there's too many people competing for the same space, okay? And because there's too many people competing for the same space, there's no separation. And in the mind of the consumer, they can't figure out why I should make X decision or Y decision, okay? So what I'm going to show you in this chapter is how do I create an unfair advantage in a commoditized world, okay? How do I create separation in a commoditized world, separation in the same world? That's basically where I'm looking at, okay? And think of it this way. One of the most meaningful coaching assignments I ever had was in the Tennessee prison system, where they were using my book, This Ain't No Practice Life, and they were using it to rehabilitate offenders. So I would go in and train the supervisors for 4 years, 84 hours of training. They would then, in turn, use my content, my methodology, my thought processes to rehabilitate an offender. The problem is simple. If you know money only changes hands when problems are solved, here's the problem. We spend double the amount on prison systems in this country than on education. So the problem is we got too many people committing crime. They're going to prison. They're in there to be rehabilitated, but they're not being rehabilitated, so they get out of prison and they go back. So they used my book to go into the prison system to rehabilitate these offenders. Now, let's say that you are an offender and you have a lousy coach. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the skill, they don't have the desire, they don't have the confidence, they don't have the likability, they don't have any of the ingredients of a person of interest, and you, because of that, really, you're screwed at the end of the day. You need a great coach to give you an unfair advantage. Now, what if you had a great coach, so the person in this sale doesn't have a good coach, and the person in this one has a great coach? Could that give one an advantage over another? And the answer is going to be yes, it could give an advantage. So what I make an argument of in the book is this. Your advantage can come in the world through a couple different things. It most likely doesn't come through your product because your product is a commodity. For the most part, it's commodity. Your product may be saturated, so your advantage has got to come in the delivery of that product or in you. You are the differential advantage. Well, what if who's coaching you gives you that advantage? So I start making an argument in here that your advantage can become your coach. And if you're in that jail cell and you got a bad coach, you don't get the knowledge and the skills and the desire and the confidence that you need. If you're in the jail cell beside that and you got a great coach, then you get the knowledge and the skill and the desire and the confidence that you need. So when you start thinking about where your unfair advantage comes from, I just want you to stop right now and ask yourself this question. What is your unfair advantage? All things being the same, is it your product or service? Is it who's coaching you that's giving you new mindsets, new skill sets? Is it your delivery of that product or service? Or is it you? You are the differential advantage. So you're probably asking, Coach, what's your unfair advantage? My unfair advantage comes from a couple different places. My unique past of being a former championship coach. My unique experiences of starting and growing a business that generates millions of dollars. My who's coaching me give me an unfair advantage. I'm a cross between different people. So I'm a cross between Dan Sullivan with Strategic Coach, who's very methodical, and a Grant Cardone, who is pushing very, very hard, plus my faith-based background of who I study. I'm a cross of all of these things. Now, how does that help me? It gives me an unfair advantage when I'm competing versus other people, and that's what I'm looking for. And so for you, I'm thinking in this book, I'm trying to challenge you, where does your unfair advantage come from? Now, I was on a plane coming back from Chicago one night, and there was a gentleman on the plane, and I was like, I know that's Ram Charan. Now, you're sitting out there going, who's Ram Charan? And what does this have to do with unfair advantage? Ram Charan is one of the top business minds in the world. He is one of the top consultants in the world. He makes millions and millions of dollars consulting companies. So I'm sitting on an airplane coming back from Chicago, and I'm like, that is Ram Charan. I know it is. Nobody else knows, but I know. And so after we get off the plane, I go up to Ram Charan, and I said, man, you're Ram Charan. Can I get your autograph? Because I've read all of your books. And he said, sure. And I noticed that he had armed security guards who were protecting him. And they took him and put him in an unmarked car. And I'm sitting there thinking, why would he have armed security guards? And why did they put him in a private car? And so I began asking some of my executives who would use someone like a Ram Charan, like, why do you think that? And they said, oh, that's simple. He was so valuable that the company he came to Nashville to consult wanted to protect him. And I'm thinking, man, I want to become so valuable that somebody would want to protect me. That's the problem. See, he was so valuable, they spent money to say, don't let anybody hurt this guy. Even if people don't even know who he is. Don't let anything happen to him because of what's in his brain. So what was in his brain? That unfair advantage, man. Unique skill set, unique mindset. So how do you become like a Ram Charan? Number one, the results you personally achieve are the ones you help others achieve. You're in possession of something that they want, man. You're in possession of knowledge. You're in possession of skill. You're in possession of desire. You're in possession of confidence. I want you to start thinking of yourself as a specialist, not a generalist. Generalists are jack of all trades, master of none. A specialist has a very specialized skill set. You could be your point of view that is clearly differentiated from everybody else. This is something you're in possession of that gives you an unfair advantage. It could be your talent that you have honed and refined and worked on for years. Or it could be some type of result that you got for people that's made you famous. So when you're thinking about where does my unfair advantage come from, I start looking in the past. What is it about your past that makes you unique? Well, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. And all of this rolled up together has made you an incredibly valuable person in the world. And so you can go to somebody else and say, listen, the reason you want me on your team, the reason you need me on your team is because I can give you an unfair advantage. Now, let's talk about separation. Because what I'm trying to do is make you so valuable that you're a must-have versus a nice-to-have. Don't forget that one. Make yourself so valuable you're a must-have versus a nice-to-have. Find your own coach who can provide a competitive advantage for you. Why did they hire Phil Jackson at the Bulls and the Lakers? Because he was a master at taking disorganized teams and turning them into champions. And when you become a master at something, you're in high demand. Okay? Now let's shift gears and talk about separation. How do you separate yourself in a world of sameness? I want you to stop right now and come to this realization. What is it about me that is my special? Okay, let me give you an example. One of mine is association and extraction. And association means I can associate ideas together. So I see Ram Charan and I think, how does this apply to this? I run ideas together. I associate. Another unique advantage I have is called extraction. When I'm reading something, I'm looking for something and I extract it and pull it out of there. And then I can take it and teach it. So what if your separation is your ability to extract, synthesize, and share? What if that's a unique ability of yours? What if that separates you in a world of sameness? You can extract concepts. You can synthesize concepts, which means break them down. You can share concepts. Okay? What is your separation? What if you get different results than anybody else gets? You see, one of the things that we do is we've created structures and process and package that into programs like Monster Producer or Everybody Needs a Coach in Life or Planners or Podcast. And it's really taking what's in my brain, what's going on up in this crazy brain of mine, and it's packaging it up and selling it. Okay? And if you're not doing that, or if you're not selling at a high enough volume, then there could be a problem there, right? So what are we thinking about? What's my unfair advantage? What's my unfair advantage? Where does it come from? Then once you find yours, you say, how can I be an unfair advantage for other people? You know, Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's personal coach. And Michael Jordan said this, Tim, I'm not paying you to train me. I'm paying you to not train anybody else in the NBA. That's how valuable Grover was to Michael Jordan. Imagine a company coming to you and going, look, I'm not paying you to help me. I'm paying you not to help anybody else but me. Because I think you are that valuable. I know this is hard, guys. I really, really, really do. I know this is hard. You're trying to figure out, where does it come from? It comes from your past. Past experiences, past struggle, past heartaches, past breakdowns. It's called a point of origin or a study of origin. Now that we're understanding we need a separation in the same world, we're also talking about how you become a must-have versus a nice-to-have. And now we're shifting gears into this concept of 2.2 millimeters of change and never more than 7 changes. A good plastic surgeon never makes more than 2.2 millimeters of change, and they never make more than 7 changes. So when I was writing this book, I was sitting there thinking about what were our 2.2 millimeters of change. When I'm looking for separation versus other coaches, what is it? What do we do? Well, in 2015, we wired our Greatness Factory to be able to live stream and simulcast to our entire planet. You know what that does? That helps us sell to anybody on planet Earth. That's just a small change that opens us up to huge potential. I picture the day where I'm teaching Monster Producer here, and they're going to a place in Dallas, Texas, and Orlando, Florida, and Atlanta, Georgia, and Chicago, and New York City. They're going to a place with a hype man we talked about yesterday, and they're watching Monster Producer in groups with a hype man there. And that's one way we scale it, just like a church scales their services. There's that gift of extraction, synthesis, retention. See that? So, in 2016, what else did we do? We introduced a concept called Talent Supply, a program that trains underperforming people in the first 90 days of their business, first 90 days of their sales career. Lots of people do not have a selling system, and so could we charge $3.99 a person for people to come to us and get trained by us? That generated $75,000 in its first year. So very first year, we got a concept, we take it to market. That was 2.2 millimeters of change. In 2016, we developed Monster Operations to begin to work with operations teams because I saw a niche there where operations teams were then getting very serious about coaching and training their people, and nobody was filling that market. So, made a little bit of shift, learned the operations game, hired an operations person, and now we're coaching operation people. I think next year we'll pick up another $50,000, $60,000 in operations coaching. Now, look at what we're doing here. We're generating hundreds of thousands of dollars by making small shifts, and we're building symbiotic relationships. These are not totally separate relationships. These are relationships that are directly tied to our primary flow of income of coaching. So think primary, I make money through my primary, and here's a secondary relationship with a demonstrated need and capacity over here that we could feel and make money with. These are small shifts to your strategy. Number 4, in 2016, I'm going back last year because that's when I was writing this book, I partnered with Lightspeed to build an online academy called Total Growth Academy. Many of you are in this. And here's the deal. We ain't even close to reaching our potential with this thing. We don't have a sales team for it. How many people could we sell? Like right now, I'm working on a deal to sell 15,000 people in our online academy. Even if we charge them $49 for the year, that's $750,000 of revenue. Well, it cost me $25,000 up front to put the online academy together, and it was just a small shift in strategy. I'm already coaching. Why not take the coaching and put it online to scale it up? Now, why am I telling you this? All straight from the book, Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. I'm making small shifts. You don't have to overhaul your business. You're just making small shifts. Okay? No overhaul, just small shifts. 2.2 millimeters of change. No more than 7 changes. That's what a good plastic surgeon does. So what am I doing? I'm looking for advantage. I'm looking for advantage. I'm looking for advantage. So I want you to stop right now, guys, and I want you to ask yourself this question. What's your 2.2 millimeters of strategy change to give you an unfair advantage in a very saturated and commoditized world? So it could be a new way of selling, could be a new market or demographic you're going after, could be a small pivot in the current offering, could be there's a market you haven't even tapped into. Here's an example. I think financial advisors are doing a pitiful job tapping into what I call the Red Bull entrepreneur. These are people that are 30 to 45 years old. They're making $200,000 to $1 million a year. Financial advisors are not tapping into them. You know why? They're all worried about 65-year-olds rolling over their retirement. They're missing a whole group of people they could be making a fortune off of. Okay? Because they're still trying to sell to people their own age. Get in there and sell to the new age person. These are all small shifts, guys, okay? These are all small shifts. So this chapter in the book, How Do You Create an Unfair Advantage in a Commoditized World? It's really one of the best chapters in the book. You know what I'm talking about, Jack? Because Jack, our videographer, and his wife is building a new business here in Rutherford County, and there's no other businesses like it in this town. It's in other markets, but it's not in this market. So his problem won't be bringing the business to this town. It'll be educating people on what the business does. The business is already separated. How does he market that business to as many people as he can? So he may use audio, video, experiential, giveaways, whatever he's got to do. His number one thing, he's got to get people in the doors. And if he can't get them in the doors, it don't matter. Now, what if they put up 5 businesses just like his in this market? Which could happen at 10 years. Now he's got a same product in a commoditized industry, and he's got to go out there and say, what makes us different? Where is our unfair advantage from? How can we squeeze out more money out of these folks? What can we do? And so for you, you may be out there going, hey, I don't know what my unfair advantage is, Coach. Look back to your past. That's where all the good stuff is. I know most coaches don't live in the past. Don't live in the past. Here's what I would tell you. Don't live there, but go there. That's good. Don't live there, but go back there. You know what makes me who I am today? How I scratch and claw for success was my very humble beginnings. Raised by a single mother, worked 2 jobs, lived in a little bitty place, and I watched my mom work for everything. So my work ethic was already instilled in me. It was deeply embedded into me. Well, that got me so far. But I can't become what I want to become just by working hard. Now I need education, exposure, new intelligences, new mindset, new mentors. So my past kind of got me to where I am today. My current, what I do today, is going to get me to a much bigger future. But if you don't believe you need an unfair advantage in today's world, then you're smoking something, really. You're off in la-la land. Because when you're in industries, and I don't know what industry, I see real estate, insurance, I don't know what industry every person is on here, but I would tell you this, there's hundreds of you, if not thousands. What separates you from everybody else? Wouldn't it be nice if when you left today, you may say it wouldn't be nice, I think it'd be cool. You had to have people protecting you because you were so valuable to somebody else. Because of your brain, because of your skill set. So I'm constantly refining, trying to become incredibly valuable to the people I serve. A, so they never want to get rid of me. That's number one. And B, I drive some kind of results that nobody else can drive, and I get so much referral business from that people say, my unfair advantage is that little pit bull. That little bald-headed pit bull. Okay, I'm going to read you the Q&A section, and then I'll take any questions that you have. This is chapter 4. Thank you for making this book a bestseller. I will be in New York City on Monday. I'm actually going to be in New York City all weekend. I'm going to be in New York City on Monday promoting this thing, hopefully on some big channels. I know I'm doing Good Day New York. I think we're visiting Good Morning America, maybe, CNBC, Fox Business. And I'm going to be out there taking my message to the big stages. So if you have questions, I'd like for you to ask those questions now. This would be a great chance for you to ask those. You can chat those in, and Jack will read them to me. But here's the questions that a lot of people ask me that are in the book. Number one, I understand that I need to differentiate, but I don't know how to do this. I get that I need to differentiate, but I don't know how to differentiate. Here's my answer. We live in a highly competitive world where there is a lot of copying and very little innovation. Consider whether you have a distinct advantage over your competitors, where you have. To determine this, you got to study them, study their products inside and out, and begin to find small ways that separate you. Small tweaks. They do this, we do this. They do this, we do this. Okay? This could come in the form of a product. It could be different. Think Tesla. The form of your delivery, your product. Think Chick-fil-A. Or you, because of some unique quality you have to offer. I got a big engine. I got unbelievable past. I got a mind that's strong. I got results that are ridiculous. Where does it come from? I need you to sell your differential advantage. Question number 2. When you say we live in a commoditized world, what do you mean? Great question. Here's what this means. There are literally millions of professionals in every industry. Commoditized means saturated, same, without difference. Okay? If all the products and services are the same, then most people will just pick up the cheapest one. To avoid playing a commodity game, you need to think in terms of proprietary, unique, differentiated, different, special, rare. If you want to cheapen anything, just make it common. If you want to cheapen anything, just make it common. People don't talk about common things, okay? So you may not even recognize this. Like I coach mortgage originators, insurance people, and I'm like, man, you don't even understand that you are right in the middle of a very commoditized world. And until you show some separation and get more attention, you ain't going to get any business, right? Final question. I've always believed that I could just work my way into winning more, but you're saying I need to have I could have a strategy problem. There's only so many hours in a day, man. I work myself into $1 million business, maybe a $2 million. I can't work any harder to get it to 10 or 15 million. I can't come in earlier. I don't want to come in earlier. I don't want to stay later. I got a wife. I got a 4-year-old daughter. So what I'm interested in, now I've willed it to kind of a couple $1 million. Now, how do I make it bigger? It ain't work. It's strategy, which is where the 2.2 millimeters of strategy change comes in. Like I was working on Florida this past week, and how do I franchise Monster Producer? How do I franchise Greatness Factories? How do we go out and sell 15,000 people on my online platform at $49 a person? How do we do it? It's never going to happen as long as I just think that work ethic will get you so far. Energy will get you so far. Good ideas will get you so far, but they will never, ever continue to scale. Study self-made billionaires. And I guarantee you they wouldn't tell you that, hey, man, I just worked real hard and that's how I got here. You know what they did? They created $1 billion of value. And they didn't do it with one person. They created it in scale. Okay? And so this book is here to make you think bigger. I'm thinking way bigger today than when I wrote this book. Isn't that crazy, Jack? I wrote this book, over the last 2 years. My mind is operating at such a higher frequency today than when I wrote this book. I'm reading some of this book and I'm like, man, I'm already past all that, man. I got to think something bigger. So that's how I got to get you thinking at a much higher frequency, okay? Any questions from anybody out there? I'll be happy to take. I got just a minute to take a couple questions. You can type those questions in the chat box, and I can see those. And I want to say hi to everybody. Dick, Nicholas, is that Abigail?
Al Blair.
Al Blair? Dick, okay. And then is it Abigail G?
Oh, yes, I'm
Abigail, D. Richard Hodges. Anybody else? Who am I missing? Nicholas Cole?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions for me? I'd be happy to answer those.
No question, but enjoy these sessions so much, Abigail.
Thank you, Abigail. I appreciate you being on here. Ain't no fun to do a live webinar with nobody on here, except myself, me and Jack. Sometimes I do motivate my own self, though, Abigail. I go home and watch Monster Producer, and I'm like, man, that was good. Motivating my own self.
Nicholas says, thanks for taking the time, Coach.
Thank you, Nicholas. Guys, I want to say shout out. Hope you have a great Friday. I taught Monster Producer 3 times today. So my little engine is about to burn out. My wife came and joined me. We had a record crowd today, 64 total people online and in person. And so we had an unbelievable day. We're signing up about 40 new monsters a month. And so I'm excited about the future and excited about our potential. And I'm excited about your potential, man. Potential's calling. You just got to answer the phone, man. Potential's calling. You just got to answer it. Listen, everybody needs a coach in life. Thank you for making this book a bestseller. God bless you. And on Monday, be watching for me on all the big channels, New York City. I'm coming on down. I'm going to the big city to promote the book. So God bless you, and I hope you have a fantastic Friday. That's chapter 4, How Do You Create an Unfair Advantage in a Commoditized World.